up, everybody? Welcome to RexEngine. Hope everyone's having a phenomenal day. This video is going to cover touch controls for RexEngine. So as most of you probably already know, RexEngine will run on basically any platform under the sun. If Unity can output there, as long as Unity can publish there, RexEngine should run pretty well. I've gotten this thing running really well on half-decade-old Android phones, and I've done tests on game consoles, and it works pretty well everywhere. So for mobile especially, you're probably going to want touch controls. So touch controls have been a feature of RexEngine for a really long time, but a recent Unity update actually broke them. And so with the latest update to RexEngine, which is available right now in the Asset Store, I took the opportunity not only to fix that, so they should work perfectly again, but also to add some cool new stuff that wasn't there before. And so I figured this would be a really good time to do a video showing you guys not only what's new, but also how to implement touch controls if that's something you want for your game. So touch controls now are in the Rex settings panel, which is always under Window, RexEngine, Rex settings. And there's a new field there now. As of RexEngine, I believe we're on 1.54. So there's a new field in Rex settings called touch controls. And if you pop that open, there's an option here for touch control display. And there's a drop-down which has the options never display, always display, or display for mobile. If you set it to display for mobile, it's going to detect if you're on a mobile platform. At the moment, basically iOS or Android. And if it sees that you're on mobile, it'll display the controls, and if not, then it won't. Or you can force it to display them all the time with always display, or to never display. So for starters, let's turn this on to always display. I'll hit the save button, and let's see what shows up. So I'll hit the play button, and we can see out of the box the touch controls, the display is a monstrosity because I gave it a button for every single action in RexEngine, which is probably more actions than your game will actually need. But this is what it looks like out of the box. And we can see like the D-pad is actually covering the character, which is wonderful. So I always forget if the mouse cursor displays in these things, but I'm clicking on the D-pad now. So we can see I'm moving. There's also little hidden buttons down here in the corners to do diagonals. So if we want to like crouch walk, we can see clicking in between does that. Jump button makes us jump, attack makes us attack. And every other button here is also there. So I'll get into how to clean that up and stylize it in a minute. So underneath touch control display in the Rex settings panel, there's an option called touch controls prefab. So if we click on that, that's going to take us to the project panel where I've actually got a prefab laid out for the touch controls. So what I recommend doing firstly in your own project if you're using touch controls is you can take this prefab and copy it, but make your own prefab and store it somewhere outside the RexEngine folder. Because what's going to happen if you keep it inside the RexEngine folder is that when you update RexEngine, it might override your touch controls. So save the prefab somewhere outside that folder, and that way it'll be safe and you can update RexEngine and everything should be fine. So let's drag this out. So we'll see this prefab here. It's got the D-pad on the left, and it's got all of these buttons here. These buttons, there's really nothing special about these at all. There's actually not even a script on the touch interface. And all of these buttons are literally just, let's click on the jump button to show you. It's just a graphic, and then there's some text. The text just says the name of the button. There's a sprite renderer, and then it's got a box collider. So the box collider is what's going to allow the touch controls to know that you've pressed it. So you want the box collider to always be the size of the graphic, basically. So pretty straightforward stuff. The other thing is these things out of the box, they all come with a name. And the name is important. If you change the names, they won't work. So keep the names the same. For reference, you can see the panel here with all the names in the video. And the name is it's basically the action the button does with the word button after it. No spaces, no underscores, at least not before the word button. It's So there's jump button, attack button, and so on and so forth. And so out of the box, those all work, so just don't change the names and you'll be good. You can, of course, change the text or delete the text on top of the button. This is just a text mesh, standard Unity stuff. It's basically just graphical. And the same with the sprite. This is just a regular sprite renderer. So you can change any of that stuff to stylize these guys however you want. And you can also safely delete other buttons. So if you only want the jump and the attack buttons, for example, then you can delete every other button and you'll be good to go still. I do think this is kind of funny the way it is. Like, it reminds me of, I don't know if you guys remember the Atari Jaguar, which was like everyone's favorite game console, but that had the most absurd controllers with like 50 buttons on them. And this is totally like that, and I think it's kind of terrible but awesome. So once you've got this stylized the way you want it to, I would just drag it and drop it somewhere in your project panel that's, somewhere you'll remember the prefab, somewhere where it's not in the RexEngine folder. And then you can take it and drag and drop it right into this touch controls prefab slot right here. Hit the save button, and that should be all you need. Your new touch controls should be there. Oh, and then one other thing I wanted to show you guys on the touch interface. If I zoom into the D-pad, you can see these colliders here. So the D-pad, I only have graphics in here for the 4 cardinal directions, but there are also colliders here for the diagonals. So also, if you want the diagonals to, if you want the fields to be different, if you want it to be like the diagonals are in slightly different places or have graphics or whatever, you can definitely change the size of the colliders as well. It's all pretty straightforward. If you look on the D-pad, it's just got the sprite, and then every one of these things is just a separate object with the collider. So you could feel free to put those anywhere you wanted to. It's all very, very easy to customize. So that's it for this video. I hope that was helpful, and I will see you guys next time.